welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Randall Thomas of the Pioneers and Builders in Jacksonville podcast, or as we affectionately call it, PV and JAX. We have a special episode today in conjunction with 100 Men Who Care. We have three nonprofits pitching on July 9th for a chance to win $10,000. I'm fortunate to interview all three of them. And today, one of my guests is somebody who's pitching at that event. Please welcome Tommy Ferretti, founder of the Foundations of Freedom nonprofit. Hey, man, welcome to the show, dude. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Randall.
You're very welcome. So Foundations of Freedom, walk me through that a little bit. When did you put it into motion, and how long have you been doing this? Walk me through why you did it, what your North Star was, and just kind of take us from the beginning.
Absolutely. I struggled with addiction a lot of my life, addiction and alcoholism. In that darkness, I ended up in a lot of places that people don't necessarily want to be, such as rehabs and jail and prison and different sober living programs. I struggled a lot through the years. Nothing ever really worked. I had a passion that I wanted to get sober, but I just couldn't stay sober. I'd get 15 days here, 30 days there. Finally, about 6 years ago, my life went into shambles. I lost access to my kids and was losing my job. I was living in a car that wasn't registered and no insurance. I had enough, and it was around Christmas time 6 years ago. The look of disappointment in my kids' faces when I didn't have anything for them and couldn't even be around them for more than a couple of minutes without needing to go get a fix. I'll never forget that disappointment in their eyes. And that night, I just decided I've tried everything. There's no use for myself. I had a suicide attempt. I drove my car into a tree at 80 miles an hour, unbuckled. It went through the windshield, and somehow I survived it. And I thank God for that today. I woke up in the hospital with the new hip, no teeth, tubes coming out of my lungs, a femur replaced, and a friend of a friend came to visit me in the hospital. He was a pastor at Elevate Life Church, Pastor Mark Mellon, and he sat with me every day while I was in trauma for weeks on end and told me I need to try something else. I got to figure out how to get sober because my kids need me and this purpose for my life. So he told me I'm going to get out of the hospital, go straight to Elevate Life Church. Don't pass go. Don't collect a drink or drugs. And I did that. I don't know why. I was not a believer of Jesus at the time, but I did ask him. He did do a salvation prayer in the hospital, and I did go to the church just to see what happened. And when I walked in, the pastors stopped everything they were doing and kind of put their arms around me and welcomed me home. And for the first time in my life, I actually felt welcome and like I belong. So to fast forward, they put me in an apartment that was for ministry students to keep me safe. And they knew all the sober livings failed me for so long. I was around 5 other guys that were pastors in training, and they loved on me and walked me through how to just live a better life. And Pastor Mark would send me to AA meetings 3 times a week, Celebrate Recovery, which is a 12-step faith-based program. He'd send me to do purpose-driven life, and he'd have me sit and serve at the church. And to fast forward, about 6 months in, my life was getting better. I wasn't able to see my kids yet, but I was getting things back, getting a job back. I was able to walk again, and people started asking me for help, and I would give them the same guidance Pastor Mark gave me. Go to AA meetings, go to church, go to Celebrate Recovery. And but a lot of times, people from our path, like with our record, we don't have anywhere to live, or we're coming from jail or prison. I started referring people to different sober living programs in the area, and unfortunately, a lot of those are in bad neighborhoods. Some of the people I was trying to help was dropping like flies. So about a year in, I ended up going to ministry college to become a pastor, and God put a vision on my heart to open up a program that's not like any other one in a good neighborhood next to the church. Have it be not just secular, but biblical. So I started putting my head together with my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time, Natasha, who's my wife now. We put our minds together and was just praying, and we decided to name it Foundations of Freedom. And we wanted to open up here in Oakleaf as our first location. And we did that. And we built a curriculum that's secular and biblical combined. We're the only program in Northeast Florida that has done that so far. And so anybody could come in. They don't have to believe. They belong here until they believe here. I've had Muslims graduate, people from a Jewish background graduate, agnostic, atheists. Our goal is to help them put down the drink and drug. So 4 years ago, it was June 19th. 3 years and 2 days ago, we opened up our first location, and that was in Oakleaf. We got our first 6 men in, and they were doing great. The numbers don't lie. So these people were getting freed from their addiction and alcoholism. And 6 months later, we had a wait list, and we decided to launch our second location. Fast forward From then to now, we opened up our 7th location in February of 2025 and 44 beds for men. We are full and we are waitlisted. Our mission is to connect those struggling from addiction and alcoholism with purpose, self-love, and the tools to build a foundation for long-term recovery. And our vision is to emerge as a leader in the treatment and recovery services by offering an effective curriculum through multiple sober living environments to those struggling with difficult hurts, hangups, and habits.
Tommy, that's an excellent story, man. If anything else, the rest of this episode, I at least want to let you know it's clear that everybody has a purpose. Unfortunately, you had to fall in hard times to find yours, but it's clear as day what yours is.
Absolutely.
Fantastic work, truly. Yes, sir. Couple of questions. One's personal and then one's about the nonprofit. When you began going to church and they loved on you and they put you in a room and they took care of you, what was the process of sobriety for you at that point coming out of the hospital?
Well, I did it in the hospital. I did ask the doctors to stop giving me opiates. So I was doing ibuprofen and Tylenol. Sobriety, what it looked like for me was obviously to not drink, and Pastor Mark coached me to do AA meetings. So I was doing the 12-step secular program at various AA meetings, about 3 meetings a week. And then I was doing Celebrate Recovery at least once a week. And then sitting and serving at church. And most non-denominational churches, especially Elevate Life Church, they do have their sermons are very focused on really just how to live, how to be a better person. So even when I was lukewarm for Jesus, I was able to take a lot out of the messages until 3 months later, I was all in with Jesus and got baptized. And I haven't changed my recipe for recovery since. I still go to 3 AA meetings a week. I'm still at Celebrate Recovery. I'm still in church. And we believe everybody has their own recipe. So every single one of our men, their recovery looks a little different than the next man's. We don't believe it's one way or the highway, which is another differentiator with us.
Wonderful. And then the nonprofit question is, what is the process that goes into identifying a center and realizing that's what it's going to be used for? And how is that funded?
Great questions. So we look at a couple different things. We have to think about the demographic, obviously. We have men coming, like I said, from prison, jail, homelessness, rehabs, long-term rehabs, short-term rehabs. Most men don't have a car. A lot of them have burnt bridges with their family. We want to help these men how to build a community and find a job and work and save money. So the first thing I typically look at demographically is how close is the closest church? Because I think a big part of what we do is the church. Serving, sitting, building community. So is the closest church walking distance? And then is there a town center close by where people could walk to work? Because if we have up to 44 guys, we need to be able to provide them with jobs. And then to fund it, it costs about $30,000 to start a new location. All in, that covers us for about 6 months and gives us the time to get the right men involved and get all the furniture and the insurances and stuff like that. Because we are a 501c3, but we are a ministry. Unfortunately, we're not able to get any city grants because we are identified as a Christian ministry. So most of our funding comes from, we do an annual golf tournament each year. We just did our second one where we usually raise a good amount of money. We partner with a lot of the local churches here in Jacksonville. We partner with 1122, Elevate Life Church, Rise Church, Trinity Baptist Church, Colonial Church in St. Augustine, that all support us financially and through prayer and through resources. And we're still working on building more partnerships. And then it's such an honor to be considered for 100 men. We're looking to hopefully utilize that $10,000 if we win it to launch our 8th location, which would be in Fleming Island. We'll be looking at expanding out of Oakleaf and into Fleming Island.
Wonderful. You're 7 in. You've been open about 3 years, and then you're working on your 8th. So if you win this pitch, there's a really good chance you're about to open 8.
Absolutely.
When you envisioned this, was this even a possibility in your mind that you could be opening this many this quickly and having this kind of success?
No, not at all. I mean, I knew I wanted to help other people in addiction and help people get out of alcoholism. And I thought maybe I'd have 2 or 3 and that would be it. But after the 3rd, like I said, our wait list grew. I'm proud to say that just last year in 2024, we had a 68% success rate, which means 68% of the men, almost 7 out of 10 of the men came into our program, have graduated and have over a year sober now. And that's, if you don't know the statistics, the national statistic is the highest would be 30%. So we went over the double on that number. And like I said, we just had a wait list. So I had to open up more because I wanted to help more people. We built leaders. So we have staff that oversees each house, each location, to pastor those leaders and lead those men. So yeah, that's right now. Today we have 44 beds full and we have 8 people on the wait list. And people have heard some good things about our program that they're refusing to go elsewhere. So they're waiting where they are, whether it be in a rehab. They've extended their time in rehab just to wait to get a bed with us.
Is that 44 across the 7 locations?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then we have 8 on the wait list. If we open the Fleming Island location, how many beds would that have access? Or
it would be 6 more beds.
Okay. So it would almost eradicate the wait list.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And with the wait list, there's 8 on it right now, but by the time we launch another location, some of them might have found somewhere else to go, or we may have had some graduates and already gotten some of those in.
Okay. Fantastic, man. When you look back on this journey and you look at everything you've done in the past 3 years, out of everything we've discussed, or maybe out of anything we haven't discussed, what are you most proud of?
I would say I'm most proud of my wife, the way she supports me and supports our vision and our mission. She's just a soldier and just does so much for the organization. But as far as the men go, I'm most proud to see generational curses broken and families reunited. I was told I'll never see my kids again 6 years ago. Now I can't get rid of them. I have full access to them. They're always with me. We're doing runs together. We're doing basketball together. And to see that with the other men being able to become fathers and leaders of their household and to see them fly and graduate our program and be back home with their kids, there's nothing that makes me happier, because unfortunately there's so many kids out there that are fatherless because of a lot of that is due to addiction and alcoholism. So we have an opportunity to change that generational curse just right here in Jacksonville. So more fathers will be present and there'll be less children without.
I would be proud of that too. I know we covered why you started, what went into it, how you're funded, the growth over the past few years. What have I left out? What have I not asked that you think is important that everybody should know?
Well, I've done a little bit of research on people, like some common questions people ask. So I actually do quarterly reports every month that I provide to anybody that wants to learn more. In an annual report every year. So I would kind of just review our last annual report with you, that since we had a 117% increase from 2023 to 2024 of men completing the program and graduating. So we had, just in last year, we had over 18 men achieve a year sober and be reunited with their families. We did 3,513 hours of service throughout Jacksonville, and that includes at local churches, feeding the homeless, helping elderly get groceries. Our men serve, they are required to serve, and they love serving. So we did 3,513 hours of service. And then in last year alone, we had 17 baptisms, which was a 71% increase from 2023. So those are some of the big things I like celebrating, and it seems like a lot of people like hearing and the numbers they want to ask about.
Yeah, 100. Where can people find the quarterly and annual reports?
Yeah, they could go right on our website, which is www.foundationsofreedominc.com. And then if they click learn more, there'll be a button at the bottom that says see annual reports, and they could learn a lot more about our program on that website. We have a lot on the website. You could click what to expect to kind of see what a day in the life of the men look like. And you'll see our Instagram and our social media on the bottom. You could follow us on Facebook and Instagram. My wife does a phenomenal job at keeping the community updated on all of our movements.
Okay, wonderful. Tommy, I look forward to watching you pitch at the 100 Men Who Care event. Even before we get there, I at least want to take a moment to say thank you for everything that you do, not only to better people's lives, but to make the city a better place, which is what PB and JAX is all about. You're doing amazing work, and I want to make sure you hear that directly from me.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. Thomas.
Absolutely. All right, man. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
Absolutely.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Me too.